or what are your stories this week?
Yeah, I thought this was great. It's just like with AI, the speed at which it's like getting better, growing and showing, as I say. What should you be learning? Is STEM like really? Is it as important? Should people be leaning more on art? Are we going to see a resurgence in that? Is that going to be what's more valued in the market? And just like Asian parent stuff, because Simple Stacker's an Asian parent. There's some talk about that. It calls himself a banana. I guess it's
so. This story is: will creativity become more valued by the market than technical skills?
Yeah.
What do y'all think? Go around the room.
Me?
I think well, if we're going around, is there a direction to the round, or is it
popcorn? Is that what they call it?
Spin the bottle?
I think so. I'm going to compare this to recently. You told me about this, Keyan. Amjad said,
"Oh yeah,
I know, like something like I no longer suggest you learn how to code, because of AI." He then goes on to explain his thoughts, and his thoughts are like, "Well, if you know how to think and you know how software works and you know how to like put this stuff together and what customers want, then that's what you really need, not to learn how to code." And me, I take it back around and I'm like, the best way to learn those things is to learn how to code. And so my answer to this is like, the best way to leverage AI is to be creative, and the best way to be creative is actually pursue a creative art, and then you'll be able to take advantage of the leverage that AI gives you better than anyone else who has no taste.
Okay. Who's next in the round? EK now?
I just want to say I recently blew my own mind because I realized creative might come from creation. Like in German, we also say kreativ, but we don't say, like, the noun is different.
Oh.
Like in English, there's like a connection.
Yeah, this is
Maybe
like
everyone already knew, but like I didn't realize until a few days ago.
just like me when I was a child. I blew my own mind when I realized a U-turn was called a U-turn because the turn was shaped like a U. It's like that.
Yeah, exactly, like stuff like this.
Yeah, it's like, whoa, someone was thinking.
But also, like the title says, will creativity become more valuable? But I think it's all like if you have technical skills and you're creative, I think that's already valuable.
I think you can't be a Luddite. You need to know how to use a computer to use AI. But are the technical skills less relevant over time? Because right now you still to put together a program using AI, you still need to be somewhat literate in programming. But if things get better, and we can assume they will, how little technical knowledge do you actually need?
Like the ratio of technical to creativity goes down.
Yeah, exactly. And so should you be indexing more on creativity than technical skill? Is kind of the question.
It's a good question.
Really? You think some people are just like not creative, even if they didn't have a technical outlet? I don't know about that. Well, I guess not, but I would be shocked that there are people who don't have any creativity. But what do I think on it? I think I would learn. I think mostly what you want to tell kids is to learn what they're interested in, and so I don't think you really want to do too much of this overlay of your beliefs about the future on the child. Let them kind of orient themselves. I think that meta skill is like good in either context where AI is ruling the world or we've had to go to war with AI and exterminate it. You kind of want the ability. You want your children to have the ability to guide themselves and pick their own battles and stuff and what they should be doing. But I think learning how to use these things, interacting with them, developing or like sort of a knowledge of interaction between them is a really good idea. We have some conversations like that in the comments. which are good, but I think everyone should be creative regardless, and I think everyone should be a little bit technical regardless, at least enough to know whether you should go deeper. And
well, if I ask an artist to like draw a portrait of me, but I want that artist to make it look like Studio Ghibli, like what part of that is the artist being creative and what part of that is the artist being technical? Like it seems like it's not easy to separate the two, in that you kind of like the magic happens when you have both. And so it's like if I'm programming, like I can't draw worth a damn, but when it comes to writing code, I can be incredibly creative. I also have seen AIs struggle to center a div. So it's like, well, you know, regardless, like if you know, I pursue, like I exercise my creativity and my technical ability because I like to, and it's not really based upon like what other people value my skill set. Like I do that because ultimately I enjoy doing it.
Yeah, you're not doing it like for the utility of other people.
Yeah. So I guess that it's like, it's an important question to talk about. It just seems like such a complex question, in that everybody is going to have like different opinions on even what is considered being creative versus being technical. Yeah. So I don't know. I don't think we're there yet, in understanding like what AI really brings to the table. A lot of people are trying to project into the future what things will look like 10 years from now, but I don't think we even really can do that accurately right now. Like it's hard to say what AIs will be capable of doing. Like, are they, is AI going to become, is it going to become proficient enough that it's going to be able to do whatever you tell it to do, and it's not just going to get hung up on the dumbest things, which is where we're at now. Like AI can do very sophisticated tasks, but it can also fail on the simplest of things. So it's not very reliable. And so you do need to step in. Like you have to babysit it, and you have to like step in and help it when it gets stuck on something silly. And you still have to have an understanding of what you and the AI are doing if you want to actually be very proficient with it. But I don't know, maybe some industries, it's like, it doesn't matter anymore. Like, I don't know, writing, like how much has writing changed with AI, where it's just like, you have some ideas, you hash them out, and like all of the busy work of having to go through drafts and stuff, you don't have to do that.
I think
anymore.
a lot of for good writers, it's probably cutting down on the pre-production part, like the research phase and the like hashing out the ideas and stuff like that. People who are actually writing original work. And then for people who are like doing like marketing blogs, from what I can tell, it's like 80% of them are all just completely AI generated, and they have a 3-sentence prompt, and they expect people to read the, 5,000 words that it generates as if it's like worth reading, and it isn't. So that's changed. It's made lazy people more obvious, and they're to like people who are paying attention, and less obvious to people who aren't. At least as far as writing. But I think it's helping a lot of people. I have a friend who talks to these things for like an hour or two a day, and just Car has shared with me that he also has done this occasionally, and he says it's mind blowing. There's like things because he can talk to the AI about it, literally anything. Like he can't find a local expert that can talk to that he can get access to.
You're trying to put into work, kind of what you do on the show when I'm like trying to explain something, and then you finish the sentence for me. That's basically what I get it to do. It's like, I'm pretty good. Where I'll just be like, oh, I have this idea, but I can't explain it, but it feels like this, it smells like this, it tastes like this, and then it spits it out. It's usually right on.
Cool, man.
Can I ask, what is the opposite of creativity? Because I'm trying to think of a better. Well, I guess creation, destruction, or creativity.
What's zero creativity look like? I think it's mostly. I think you've listened. I know you've listened to a lot of Jordan Peterson, but he describes it kind of as the personality trait is like openness.
It's darkness.
Openness versus closeness.
Yeah.
Yeah, like where I'm emotionally wanting to go with the answer is that like creativity is where you exit the realm. It's like you have the main highway that everyone's on, the highway of common knowledge and common ideas and common ways of showing and presenting things. And whenever you leave that road, you are in the realm of creativity because you are leaving sort of the mainstream flow of information and the mainstream flow of sense making, and you're doing your own sense making from your own perspective. And this is where like I think creativity goes with agency.
What do you mean by agency? Explain that.
Intentionality.
Okay.
And an intentionality that comes from thought, whereas like if I'm uncreative, it's like I can make amazing technology and amazing art, all being uncreative, right? Because I can just take from the most popular in culture, Instagram on the technology side, banana on the wall on the art side, or whatever.
I feel like it's more like the Mr. Beastification of. To me, that feels more like that. When you say that, it kind of reminds me of that kind of thing.
Yeah, because he's looking at lots and lots of data, and then he's changing his style based upon data, and not because he personally feels like,
Well, I think where the data isn't showing him a way, though, he's probably expressing some taste. He's like choosing a direction to go in, and that would be because you have to imagine he started out. I don't want to defend Mr. Beast, but you imagine he started out with no data, so he eventually got He was creative enough to find ways to get data that no one else had, that allowed him to extract trends from the data, that allowed him to try more experiments to get more data, to try more experiments to get more data.
Yeah, because it's like another domain of creativity is how can you leverage your creativity?
This is where I think it's just more human psychology is going to be far more important in this day and age. Creativity, it's hard to imagine creativity like going away, but I do wonder though, like, because I think of my nephews and nieces, like they're just getting their creativity from like an iPad most of the time, and so I don't know about that. I feel like at some point they're just going to talk to the AI, and the AI is going to help them be creative, and it'll just be used as another tool to be creative, I guess. Kind of like what it's doing right now.
I think it'll make people more creative.
So I don't know. I don't know if creativity will go away. I don't think it will, but I think uniqueness will, and I think uniqueness will probably go away. You won't have like a Mozart or like a Leonardo da Vinci coming around. And if they do, they're going to be like once every 100 years or so.
You're going to have to set yourself on fire to be creative in the future, or to be unique. Like you're going to have to do the most ridiculous.
This kind of goes back to my whole theory of like, I feel like everything's going into silos and curation right now. And this just kind of adds to this just validates that even more, because what I think is super creative might not be super creative to y'all, and vice versa. I think everything just becomes silos and curation. And that's where I think it's really, I don't know where all this is headed, but I definitely feel like that's well on its way to happen. But what were you going to say, Tiff?
Oh, yeah. So like if, let's say you have this magical box that you can ask any question and it gives you like the best, most informed answer, right? So anytime you have a problem, you can come to this box and ask it a question and it gives you the answer. Like, can you ever really, like how do you exercise your creativity if you never have to struggle to find the answer to something?
I think people had a lot of these similar complaints around like the calculator, Google, like a lot. I think it's just another tool, and I believe there will always be space that I think that our tools don't occupy, that we express ourselves in.
I also think this is where you need to be around other people that are like-minded in community. This is why I think there's a lot more hubs and communities kind of sprouting up right now in the world, just because of what you just said. Like, if you're not inspired, if you're not creative, then if you're not inspired or like what you're saying, you're just talking to like a black box that's giving you every answer and allowing you to do all these things. Where do you go to get that? The only way you can get that is through other people, and maybe that's what creativity will maybe lead to other humans creatively inspiring other humans, as opposed to, and then maybe the AI's somewhat inspiring us individually. I don't know. It's hard to think about.
We'll see where this all takes us.
One last thought, harkening back to earlier, like punks. The kind of punk response to like creativity is a reversion from what seems like improvements, right? So like, oh, music is sounding clearer, the drums come through cleaner in the recording, the guitar is cleaner, it's better mixed, it's better balanced. But like people that are really into punk nowadays, they would deny that. They would be like, oh, this is so clean, it's gross, right? But then you would hear something that's dirty and real and analog, and you would feel connected to that. And on paper, if you just show it to an average person, they're going to be like, this sounds worse than this. But because you have a certain taste that is outside of the norm, you view that as being higher valued. So I think that's like an interesting area where like people will keep their uniqueness, is they'll deny the seeming improvements for the sake of art and humanity, saying like, oh yeah, I could look and sound better, but that wouldn't be cool, right? I want it to look like this 90s grunge, you know, whatever. Or even like UIs, right? I can have Shad CN, or I can have this super gritty, like 90s looking website that maybe will just stand out in the right way. And you know, be more creative, even though it's a reversion. So yeah.
There's an interview with what's his name? He's a composer, Hans Zimmer, and they asked him a question about music and stuff and what he thought about, you know, the old stuff and the new stuff that comes out. He was like, if it's a good song, it's a good song. And I think he's right. If it's just a good song, it's a good song. Cool. I think we talked about this one.